Hello, please do not recommend jam fusions in the comments, please. There are polls in the description, and this week there are two, so make sure that if you vote for both of them, because trust me, they're both equally important. So, yes, finally, I've waited a long time to do Rainbow Quartz 2.0. I think one time we got a chance to, but then Pearl was beaten by, who was it? I don't know. Someone else beat Steven, and I was like, dang it, because I really wanted to do Rainbow Quartz 2.0, and I finally did. Yay! Looking at it, I'm sure there's probably going to be some people who are upset with some of the design choices I picked, particularly with the color scheme, which I like the color scheme. I'm not sure how many other people like the color scheme. I'm not sure. Although I do think it could have been better, particularly in the hair area, but I don't know, we'll get to that in a minute when I actually start coloring, because I think that'll be more relevant then, but I love how the pose came out. I enjoyed that. I did not like how the weapon came out, at least color-wise, and I think that's just because, I mean, there's a reason I don't always draw the weapons, it's because it's not my favorite thing to do, really, but I thought it might be fun to do the weapon here, because I do imagine that Pearl and Rose Quartz / Steven would have an umbrella or a parasol of some kind. That just kind of made sense in my head. I don't know. But, So, I imagine this one being very, because, I mean, Pearl and Steven get along pretty well. I mean, Pearl's pretty mom, whatever. But I do imagine, this one being, because I'm trying to evaluate, because obviously it wouldn't be the same as canon Rainbow Quartz, and even then we don't hardly know anything about her because she's only showed up once, and most likely she'd only ever show up once if we're being real here, at least in the show from what I can see. So in my mind though, I'm just trying to think Pearl is pretty uptight, elegant, whatever, and then Steven's pretty bouncy, things like that. So I just kind of imagine maybe almost I don't know how to describe what I think, really. I almost imagine a fusion that is pretty, carefree and also pretty cautious and considerate, and also, but also pretty bold at times, is kind of what I imagined for a Rainbow Quartz 2.0 if we were to have one. Because that's just kind of how I picture it. I mean, Steven's got, pretty energetic, cheerful, happy-go-lucky, things like that, and then Pearl's a lot more cautious and considerate and things like that, so I don't know. It was a lot of evaluating, and I'm not entirely sure, I guess, but, that's kind of what I think. It's just a fusion that's a lot more, it's pretty, carefree, but also kind of cautious, and, almost carefree with reasoning, I suppose. So, I mean, I don't know, feel free to disagree, I guess. I was actually thinking recently about, my Fuseday Tuesday, and I was thinking about what, gem has fused the most within Fuseday Tuesday, I suppose. And I was thinking about it, and I think that the gems that have fused the most are either Steven or Pearl. I need to check. I didn't check afterwards because, I don't know, I kind of got distracted with other things. But I think that Pearl and Steven have actually fused the most, which is kind of interesting to me. Meanwhile, you have gems like Ruby and Jasper who haven't even fused at all yet. So I just thought that was something kind of funny, to me at least. So I don't know, I'm actually rather interested to see who Steven gets to fuse with this week. I've heard some things bouncing around with my characters, I think some with Jet, things like that. I think somebody said Garnet as well, fusing with Steven, which I thought was an interesting idea because I have done a Rose Garnet fusion, so that was interesting in my mind. I'm not sure, so I'm not really sure what's gonna happen. There's a number of possibilities. All I know is that it's not gonna be whatever characters I've fused them with already. So Sapphire, Peridot, Lapis, etc. So I'm honestly very curious to see what ends up happening for this week's poll, And there's also, in the description, there's the poll for the special, because guess what? The next special is coming up very soon, so I decided I'm going to let you guys determine what that'll be, because I have a lot of different ideas on what that might be. There's definitely a lot of, fusing fusions I've done, possibly even fusing them with inclusions to canon fusions. You know, there's a lot of different ideas, and then there's also like, I know one person suggested I should do like a a redraw of an old fusion. I'm gonna include in that because the specials are meant to be totally fun and very out there and just kind of random. So, you know, I love letting you guys pick what that is too. I just love having you guys have the power to pick, I guess, you know. So, more about the drawing though. I think personally, I think what made the umbrella really awkward was I think I didn't make the stick part of it go up high enough into the umbrella. So I think that's what makes it really look weird in like the perspective, kind of the way, you know. Um, and I'm just getting that from kind of watching my video, which is what I usually do when I do these. I often like to critique myself when I watch my own speed paints and things like that. So, you know. I also think, like, it's really funny because last week when I did my Pearl Aquamarine fusion, it took only about, like, roughly an hour, and this one took an hour and 40 minutes just because it was taking me so long to figure out what I wanted to do with the colors and things like that. And even then, I'm sure, I don't know if the colors are my best work in this one. I don't think, at least not for the umbrella thing. I mean, again, there's a reason I always do the weapons is because it's not my favorite thing to draw, I don't think. But, you know, it turned out okay. It turned out okay in my eyes. I also wanted to mention, it's the same concept I had with when I did a Smoky Quartz version 1 fusion thing with rose and amethyst. I said it in the description, but I never did a commentary paint on those videos, so I'll just kind of state it here again for anybody who's never like seen that or read that or whatever. And it's for my choice of hair, and I know there's some people who look at that and think like, oh, but Canon Rainbow Quartz has like the light yellow like blonde hair or whatever with all the little colors and things like that. And yeah, I'm aware of that, but here's the thing. Steven has a very significantly different color of hair than Rose does. His is actually a dark pink, like, or not really a dark pink, but like a dark reddish brown, if you look at it, while Rose obviously has the soft pink, like the strong pink color. So, in my eyes, whatever fusions that Rose and Steven have, most likely are going to have different colors of hair. Because it's just, like, I mean, like I said for the Smoky Quartz one, I can't imagine pink and white making dark brown, you know? So, to me, I'd imagine they have different hair colors. And I also imagine that they just have different colors in general. I mean, Steven obviously does not look exactly like his mom. So, to me, their color schemes would not be the same, you know? It just, to me, it doesn't make sense for them to be exactly the same. And that's kind of what I imagine for anything. Like, even if two gems are like for the amethysts, like if you were to fuse one of the amethysts with like the other famethysts with pearl, I wouldn't imagine to have the exact same colors because all of them are slightly hued differently and things like that. You know, so that's my own headcanon, I guess. Again, headcanons are a weird thing in any fandom because some people are going to like agree with you, understand where you're coming from, even if they don't agree with you, or they just, you know, my headcanon's right, whatever. But I don't know. That's what I believe. I also I've never done this before, but I did an overlay thing on the hair, and like I really like how it looked. It made it look a lot nicer, and I've considered so that was a nice new thing I actually tried. And oh, I remember what I wanted to talk about. I came into this and I knew I wanted to talk about something, but I couldn't remember what it was. But it was about Steven's hair because whenever I did my a while back when I did my first special, which was the Steven Peridot Lapis Fusion, which is, I think, my most popular. I had a lot of people saying how the hair was totally inaccurate, and to that I say, hello art style. That I like interpreting hair realistically, so honestly, if you don't think it looks accurate, then fine with me, bro. You're free to interpret however you want, but that's how I do it. But I wanted to actually mention something, because I'm not sure if a lot of people know this, but the way I draw Steven's hair, the way I segment it, I know that it's curly. And I know for other curly hairstyles, sometimes I won't even segment the hair at all. But for Steven, there's actually a reason I segment his hair the way I do, and that's because to me, what I see in his hair is that looks like a flower or a rose to me. Um, like especially if like I were to segment it from the back, you'd be able to see it. But to me, I feel like if his hair were to be segmented, I feel like it could resemble like a rose or some kind of flower. So that's actually why I draw his hair the way that I do. So if you don't agree with me, that's fine. But that's just sort of why I draw it the way I do, because to me, it just kind of reminds me of a rose or some other kind of flower. So, that's why I segment it the way I do. And so, I mean, I thought it was an interesting thing if people didn't know that, just fun fact about how I draw hair, But overall, though, I very much enjoyed this one. This was a long time coming. I've had a design in mind for a long time, and I'm so glad I could finally do it. And I'm excited to see who Steven gets to fuse with, because I really don't know, and I'm really clueless. Like with Pearl, I kind of sat there like, oh yeah, I'm like, I'm ready for Steven, bring it on, But for Steven, I really don't know, because because it could be like Garnet, it could be Ruby, it could be any of the canon characters, but it could also be my OCs, because those have been proven to win in the past. So it's just a fun. It's one of my favorite parts of the week is just seeing who wins. It's also been very interesting, like thinking about how my polls used to be way back when I first started this series. How I used to get like 10 votes, and that'd get me really excited when there was 10 votes for one character, and everyone else had like 2. And now I get like up in the hundreds, and it's like, it's crazy. I never expected that to happen. It's nuts, really. And honestly, I love you guys, really. And this series has been so much fun, honestly. So I hope you enjoyed my lovely little Rainbow Quartz 2.0. I certainly had fun with it. Feel free to comment and like and vote and subscribe, and make sure if you go vote that you vote for both of them. Both of them are going to be in the description, because one of them's for the fusion next week, who you're fusing with Steven, and the other one is for what kind of special we want 2 weeks from now, because I need to know that this week so I can do whatever I need in the description, because obviously for fusing fusions, I need people to vote on their favorites, because I like doing fan favorite kind of things, so Anyway, guys, that's all for this Fuseday Tuesday. I hope you enjoyed. I certainly did. So make sure to go and vote, and I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I will see you in the next video. Zodiac out.